4-0. The scoreboard at the Metropolitano flashed like an irrevocable sentence. In just 45 minutes, Hansi Flick's Barcelona had been dismantled, humiliated, reduced to a caricature of the team that promised to dominate Europe. The Copa del Rey Semifinal, what should have been a balanced duel between giants, became a one-sided spectacle of tactical cruelty. And the worst part, the tie practically ended right there, before halftime. "We didn't play well as a team," Flick admitted in the press room, his voice heavy with the weight of someone who had just witnessed a shipwreck. There was too much distance between players. Lack of pressing. Sometimes it's good to receive a lesson like this. A lesson. The euphemism hurt more than the scoreline. Because this wasn't just a defeat. It was a total exposure of the fragilities in a project that, until that night, seemed protected by the arrogance of the high line and suffocating pressure. Atletico Madrid didn't just win, they studied, dissected, and executed Barcelona with surgical precision. And Diego Simeone warned them. Days before the match, in the press conference, the Argentine dropped what many considered a compliment. "I give more value to Flick for the fact of continuously maintaining his advanced line, maintaining that suffocating pressure in the opponent's field, and convincing his players to play with so much risk." A compliment? No, it was the announcement of a massacre. Griezmann, Koke, Marcos Llorente. They all understood the message. Long balls, filtered passes, systematic exploitation of that suicidally advanced defense. The result? 4 goals that could have been 7. At the 39th minute of the first half, Hansi Flick raised his hand and did something unprecedented since arriving at Barcelona. He publicly admitted a lineup error. Marc Casadó, apparently healthy, was substituted before halftime. The reason? He was on a yellow card. Minutes earlier, he'd risked another in a hard tackle on Koke. In the foul he committed on Giuliano Simeone, he gambled with a possible straight red. Flick tried to explain it to the young academy player with the best words possible. But professional football is cruel like that. The German moved the piece, pointed at one of his own. But deep down, he was pointing at himself. The decision not to start De Jong as pivot, to give up the triangle with Olmo and Fermin as interiors, cost dearly. Casadó became an easy target for Atletico's transitions. When Flick wanted to correct the mistake, it was already 3-0. The tie was destroyed. Deco, the sporting director, didn't forgive. "It's a matter of intensity. We didn't face the first half the way we should have." He went further. He pointed directly at the players. 52nd minute of the second half. Kubarsi pushes the ball into the back of the net after a Lewandowski rebound. 4-1. A window of hope. Then came the wait. 1 minute, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of VAR review. At the Metropolitano, the tension was palpable. Barcelona players looked at the referee, incredulous. Martínez Munuera waited motionless for González Fuerte's decision in the booth. Finally, the verdict. Offside. Goal disallowed. "How long do you have to wait?" 7 minutes. Flick exploded. "For me, it's clearly not offside. I see it differently. Then when they disallow it, they don't tell us anything. There's no communication." Minutes later, the technical committee of referees released an almost surreal statement. The semi-automatic offside system had failed when detecting a situation with too much player density. The solution? Draw manual lines. Frenkie de Jong couldn't contain himself. "If the image I saw isn't artificial intelligence, then it's a scandal. It's very clear." Eric García went further, insinuating conspiracy. "Besides us complicating things for ourselves, the decisions always seem to go against us. We know who we're playing against." Xavier Estrada Fernandez, former referee, was merciless on TV3. "I would dare to say these are excuses and that it's a lie that the SAOT doesn't work." On the other side, Iturralde González, refereeing analyst for AS and Cadena SER, defended the decision. "The key is where Kubarsi is when Lewandowski touches the ball. Whether he's in front or behind. If they say it's offside, I always go with them because they're the ones with the tools." But even Iturralde acknowledged the lack of transparency. To give more transparency, they should also draw the line with the ball, because if Kubarsi is aligned with the ball, Ruggeri and Lewandowski's position doesn't matter. Barcelona, according to Mundo Deportivo, is studying whether to file a formal complaint with the Royal Spanish Football Federation. The problem? There's no president. Joan Laporta resigned days earlier. Rafa Yuste, the interim president, maintains a low profile. The institutional crisis adds to the sporting crisis. It's the 4th time Flick's Barcelona has failed to score. It's the 6th time they've conceded 4 goals in a single match. They hadn't conceded 4 goals in 45 minutes since the Lisbon disaster. Ironically, with Flick commanding Bayern Munich in the massacre against Ronald Koeman's Barcelona. Lamine Yamal was neutralized by the Rojiblanco, marking Fermin imprecise. He hit the post for the 28th time this season, but contributed little. Dani Olmo signed a game to forget. Ferran Torres barely got into the game. Lewandowski, who came on to replace Casadó, contributed nothing. In AS's words, as the Sports Daily summarized, a disaster above and a disaster below. We have 2 halves of 45 minutes to score 2 goals in each half, declared Flick, clinging to a statistically improbable thread of hope. Simeone, cautious as always, released his rhetorical trap. The tie isn't finished. We know what the opponent is capable of. But everyone knows, everyone saw, 4-0 isn't just a result. It's a statement, a sentence, a lesson that, as Flick said, sometimes it's good to receive. The question that remains is, will Barcelona learn? Or was that night at the Metropolitano just a harbinger of a larger collapse, tactical, emotional, institutional? That's still to come. The answer will come at Camp Nou, but the question that was already answered in 45 minutes of absolute humiliation.